There comes a certain time where you have to be responsible with the truth of Jesus and do something in response to his lordship. You know, there's this scene in John chapter 19 where Jesus has been arrested and he has, been put under these false charges, and he is assumed to be guilty because the religious leaders, the so-called experts of the day, made their case, shaky and shoddy as it was, that Jesus was worthy of execution. And so now we go to John chapter 19. John writes, "Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe and went up to him again and again, saying, 'Hail, King of the Jews!' And they slapped him in the face." And that is the word of the Lord. If you consider that list just of what happened in those few short verses, take a look that Jesus is flogged, which means that he's beaten with a lead-tipped sort of whip type thing, that he is given a crown, quote-unquote, of thorns, that he is robed in quote-unquote royalty, that they say, "Hail, King of the Jews," mockingly, and that they raise their hands to him and slap him in the face. Jesus is openly and clearly mocked. It is not a neutral thing. It's not guards just being guards and taking the prisoner from point A to point B. They are taking advantage of him in every way, shape, and form. And the psychologist would say, well, those guards had issues that they were working out. And the moralist would say, well, that's really mean. And yet Jesus is a good teacher. But those who follow Jesus look at this and just take it at face value. Our Savior was flogged and mocked and ridiculed, that he was treated as literal opposite of what he is as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Just in this short list, for Jesus to be flogged assumes his guilt. That to give him a crown of thorns is to say he's tame, he's powerless. For him to be robed in quote-unquote royalty, he's the scum of the earth, he's no good. For him to be mocked as a king, clearly he's a subject. They're the least afraid of him instead of most afraid. And for them to raise their hands to Jesus, well, simply they're saying that Jesus is cursed. But let me tell you this, nothing negates the majesty, the rule, and the praiseworthiness of Jesus. However, in our humanity, we have the option of what we will do with the kingship of Jesus, because there is no neutral. You either acknowledge him as king and worship him as such, or you hear the story, you hear the truth, you have the man himself before you, and you go, no, he's nothing. Because to ignore his power is essentially to attempt to negate his power, and this simply cannot be done. What will you do with this king? What are you going to do with Jesus? That's the big question. And it's a question that we ask not only of those who are on the fence in their faith or trying to figure out this whole thing, as I know some of my friends are, but it's a question we have to ask as followers of Jesus too. What are you going to do today with Jesus? Will he be king of your day today, this moment, from here on out? And have you told him this? Have you proclaimed this? Have you worshiped him as king of your life as well as of all things? He is good. The beating that he took, so severe, and yet he's motivated by love for you. Now what? That's RadCast.